Okay, I have with me Dr. Karan Avtar Singh. He's Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Investment and Promotion, Govt of Punjab. So we just concluded a workshop around policies and funding for startups. So Dr. Karan Avtar, thanks for coming for the workshop and also on the panel for the policy. I would like to know your thoughts about the workshop and how we can take this forward. Maybe the first thing is the policy workshop.
Yeah, Sukhmeet. So in the policy workshop, we found that there was a lot of new information which came, a lot of knowledge sharing, and I think we're at the right time to have held this workshop. So thanks to ISB, thanks to Mr. Madhav Lal for organizing this. What I found was that, in ISB you are part of CRIC, which is the Chandigarh Research Institutions Council. I'm forgetting the full name. But CRIC now has a challenge in terms of coordinating all these startup hubs which are coming up in these academic institutions and building them all up to scale and to quality. So this policy session in the workshop, I think, will really help as an input for CRIC and for Govt of Punjab to make a kind of path into the future and how we should chart our course. One thing which emerges is that every startup incubator, even though it would have funds from, say, the DST, and those funds usually are for 5 years, as we were told.
Yeah.
And the question is that after 5 years, what happens and how to make this incubator sustainable from the first day. So the suggestions which have come today, which I think we should take note of and follow up. Firstly, every incubator needs a team of managers who really know the job, who are professionals. And it was pointed out that there is really no educational institution in India which runs an MBA on incubation management or incubator management. So that's an opportunity for ISB and perhaps for the Bharti Center for Public Policy. But that'll take a few years to happen.
Yeah.
So in the meanwhile, I guess we are left with having to A, make do with the kind of human resource we have in India,
Yeah.
and B, to design capacity building at various levels for people who can run incubators successfully. And yes, Chandigarh or Northern India is not at the forefront today of incubation spaces, incubation activities, but at the same time we have a lot happening, and this came out in the second session also.
Yeah.
So I think we're at a time when we could go out and get people to manage these incubators. One suggestion which came from Professor Tiwari after the session, and he's from Punjab University, and he is kind of nodal person in CRIC. So he suggests that perhaps as an umbrella organization, CRIC could set up a Section 8 not-for-profit company to coordinate all the dozen odd incubators in the region. And this Section 8 company could then hire a team at a high level which would be available part-time for every incubator. Why I think this is a great idea is that at the academic institution level, so if ISER has an incubator, ISB has one tomorrow, Punjab University has already set one up, typically the academic institution hands over the management of the incubator to one faculty person or two who have to look at it part-time. So a couple of constraints there. One is of time. Second is of expertise. Faculty typically would have to focus on their own research and academics and not so much on managing an incubation center. So they would perhaps give it lower priority. Thirdly, training and background. Faculty would be trained on research and pure sciences or management and economics, not on the kind of networking, personal relationships, evaluation systems, venture capital funding management, etc., which we need in an incubator. So I think these suggestions which are coming out are very good. I'm afraid they are new, they are innovative. So it's not like we have precedents on which we can fall back and say, oh, this is how Bangalore or Karnataka did it, this is how Telangana is doing it, so let's do it the same way. That's not happening, but then it's good to be on the forefront of something new.
Correct.
And let's take this forward.
So another thing I wanted to ask was, one is on this workshop. Second, another thing, from going forward, do you see Punjab as an emerging hub for startups? Punjab government has done a lot of initiatives. Invest Punjab is one which
Yeah.
is, it's tracked investments at a higher scale. Since you also have worked in the industry, department directly, do you see that energy or the vibrancy coming out,
Definitely.
as a startup ecosystem?
Yes, in Chandigarh, Mohali itself, and also in Ludhiana, we would have now nearly a dozen incubators which are very active, either in the private sector or in universities. And again, these are focused on technology, IT, and a lot of companies have emerged out of these. Of course, the center or hub remains Bangalore and Mumbai to some extent. The good sign is that a lot of young people from Punjab are at those locations doing a lot of enterprises, and Mr. K.S. Bhatia of Pumpcart, who was in the second session, was telling me that a lot of successful startups like Flipkart, Snapdeal, Ola have co-founders who are from Punjab or Chandigarh. So this is a fertile place for startups, and definitely the institutional backup is now being built. So I think we have a bright future. We perhaps may be at that inflection point where we could see a big increase in the So let's look at the startup pyramid. So what we would like to see is a big increase in the number of new ventures, irrespective of their future success rate. Right? That's the bottom of the pyramid, which we must build. So typically, to be a good hub, we should be every year generating 5,000 to 10,000 startups. The success rate then is always a question mark. Again, if out of those 5,000 plus, if we could see 500 plus reach stage 1 funding, right, which means they do survive and they have now reached enterprise scale. And perhaps after that, 50 plus who reach stage 2 funding and are at a scale where they can hope to be commercially viable. If that is a target, I think it's reasonable, and I think it's doable in maybe in 3 or 4 years' time.
Okay. So it was great hearing you within the panel also. So what at ISB we are also doing is focusing a lot now on entrepreneurship, innovation related areas, and the same is from the government of Punjab. So let's build up this partnership and hopefully create a vibrant ecosystem in and around Tri-City and covering the whole of state of Punjab. And we will require the full support from the government to take this initiative forward.
One last point, Sukhmeet, what came up in Mr. Ravindranath's presentation during the first session, he chairs the National Small Industries Corporation, was the importance of focusing not only on startups in the sense of tech and digital startups, but also focusing on innovation in small and medium enterprises, which he called livelihood innovation. Our draft policy, Spire Punjab, focuses on the former, which is digital startups. But we recognize the need for perhaps a separate policy or a separate chapter, definitely a separate team with a focus on innovation for MSMEs, because there is again a lot of scope for that in Punjab. And again, I would think we would need to build the pyramid in the same way. We have thousands of innovators at the base, and perhaps a few hundred taking those innovations to enterprise scale, and then a few dozen who would really be in the public domain, so to say, of enterprise.
So that is what, that's what we were also thinking. We will have vertical specific focus also, and one livelihood or the social enterprises will be one key focus areas, that how do we increase more chances of success at that particular area where they always find hard to get funding or to get connected, which is not the case of IT or services startups. So so we will look at that particular area.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.